our beers are brewed with the idea that they need to pair well with the food that we make. Everything we do when it comes to the cuisine is also, just like the beer, sourced locally, and like our beer, made from scratch our way.
Hey, what is going on? Welcome back to TapThatAZ, the podcast that brings you the great stories behind the Arizona craft beer scene. I'm your host, Eric Walters. In this episode, I'm going to sit down with James Swan from Craft64, and I got a special guest with me, Stefan Canchola, also known as the AZ Beer Jedi. This guy is a beer enthusiast from Arizona. He loves Arizona beer. This guy is passionate about the beer community, and we've been working together on some things, and he introduced me to James. So I said, dude, why don't you join me in this episode? And so glad that I did. AZ Beer Jedi and I have been working on some pretty great things together. So one of the things we're working on together is Arizona food and beer. If you go to in the show notes, you're going to see the link for that. Right now we got a Facebook page up, but basically the idea is to have this one brand where all these content creators from Arizona, from the Arizona beer community, can contribute exclusive content to help build the Arizona beer brand just in general. So people who are passionate about beer, people who are already doing some things, are going to start to contribute some exclusive content to Arizona Food and Beer. We're going to launch the website pretty soon. So follow us on Facebook, AZ Food and Beer, and you'll get updates as far as when the website's going to be out. So the plan is start off with the website, get some content, get some good articles. I got people who are writing some articles right now. We've got some pretty awesome people on board. We got some people who are part of some breweries, some owners, some brewers that are really, really excited to contribute to this, and I'm really excited for them to join in on this. So this is pretty awesome. So keep an eye out for AZ Food and Beer, and we'll start off with the website. We're planning on having some events. We're going to do exclusive video, possibly have a few podcasts. So it's a pretty big thing, a pretty big idea that we have here. So anybody out there who is interested in seeing what's going on right now, follow us on Facebook, AZ Food and Beer. Also, link is in the show notes. But let's get to this interview. This is James Swan from Craft64 featuring AZ Beer Jedi. All right, so I'm at Craft64, take two. We just had a good 3-minute conversation. The recorder wasn't on, but it's on now. You guys confirm for me, right?
I confirm there's a little red light above the little button with the little red lights on it.
Something is flashing.
Something is blinking. Flashing.
Yeah, so we're good. So we're at Craft64, 6922 Main Street.
East Main Street in Scottsdale.
In Scottsdale, in Old Town, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I'm with James Swan, owner of Craft64, and I'm with Stefan Canchola, AZ Beer Jedi. Guys, thanks for joining me. It's pretty awesome. Pretty excited to talk to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having.
You too. So Stefan has called James the godfather of Arizona beer.
I'm a little uncomfortable with that personally.
Yes. So, well, then I'll let Stefan explain why he can do the build up for you, right?
Okay, there you are.
The intro, yeah. You more comfortable with that?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
So in my experience, I come from a small town, and a lot of times I was always traveling back down here into the valley, going to places like, a Bevmo or Total Wine, looking at beer that I had never had before and taking it back. So being exposed to a craft beer scene where there was actually more people like me and people who were doing it at a greater level was kind of overwhelming and awesome to know about. So okay. I was introduced to James through a mutual friend. Was actually able to go visit James on one of his last nights while he was, I believe, we were a manager of the bar there at Whole Foods in Chandler.
Good times.
And James's name was attached to just about everything that I had heard about. Hand in the Hungry Monk, a hand in Santan, a hand in the concept at Whole Foods, which is huge. Everybody that goes to Whole Foods knows that it's a great craft beer.
Oh, absolutely.
And then through another friend, actually a mutual friend of mine and James, come to find out that James had a concept that was going to feature only Arizona beer, which has been my entire moniker. People to know that Arizona is a destination spot. You don't have to look to someplace else to get great beer. And I stalked him on Facebook until opening day, and I decided to form my own line after I got out of work. And
it was the funniest thing in the world.
Right?
He stood outside just waiting to get in, and I didn't know who he was at the point in time. At least not well. We'd run into each other many times, but we were busy. We had our heads in the game, and this guy stood outside, and I thought to myself, I thought maybe he was one of our contractors, and I'm like, hey man, what can I do for you? What do you need? He's like, I'm just waiting to get in and have a beer. And I was like, he was number one, and I said,
Okay.
well, hell, just come in, man.
Right.
We weren't even open yet. There was still dust on the floors. I was in a mad rush, and I mean sweeping the floors, wiping down tables, clearing up and cleaning up everything I possibly could.
Yeah. To get things rolling.
And he's in the bar, and I'm like, oh boy, this is embarrassing.
Right. He probably didn't even care that.
I was just excited to be here.
Yeah.
And I'd be able to say I got the first pour, and took a picture behind the bar, and and every time there was something new, this was my destination. This was my home base.
Yeah.
Because James believes the same way I do, is that ambassadorship for the Arizona beer community here.
It's true.
It's
so
a big
true.
deal.
Yeah.
If you have to represent the place you live in. People ask me constantly, American football, what team do you support? I say, well, I live in Arizona, so it's going to be the Cardinals.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool, and this place is hyper local, and we'll get into kind of the details of that. I love that. But backtrack a little bit. So how did you start? Like, where did beer start for you?
I tell you what, my biggest influence in beer is Anthony Canecchia, Santan Brewing Company.
Okay.
I mean, I've been a beer geek for a long time. Not a beer snob, I should say a beer enthusiast. That's better.
Yeah, I like that.
At bars I've run for quite a long time, there was always craft beer. Even when there wasn't craft beer, we had craft beer.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And having said that, getting hired at Santan Brewing Company and working there was a focal point for me that really focused me, because it was all I did. I lived it, I breathed it, I owned it.
Yeah.
I didn't own the pub, I owned the job.
Right. Yeah. And you made it your own. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And when was this? What year was this?
This was in 2007.
Okay.
2007.
Gotcha.
Santan, when Santan opened, obviously.
It was in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
Boy, it was hard for me to remember. It's been a long time. It's been 10 years.
Yeah. Crazy. Been a crazy 10 years for you then, huh?
No, it really has been.
Yeah. Well, Stefan mentioned the Whole Foods concept. What's that? Like, I mean, I understand what it is now, but what was your hint?
When I started at Whole Foods, there was a bar, and the beers on tap were Coors Light, Miller Lite, Sam Adams, Stella, Guinness, and Fat Tire. That was what was on tap at the bar.
Yeah.
Nobody used the bar. Nobody went to the bar.
Okay.
And I had a really great manager, a Frenchman called Yuma. Really good guy. Up until this day, I think he still works for Whole Foods, and I think he's a bigwig there at this point.
Okay.
But having said that, I was stocking the beer wall and doing the beer and buying the beer for the beer wall and doing those sorts of things. And one day he looked at me and said, "The bar's not making any money. No one ever goes there. No one ever uses it. It just sits there empty. It's part of my department. I really need it to be a profit center." And he kind of just handed me the keys.
Nice.
And so we began building a concept for making it better.
And this hadn't existed before in Whole Foods.
No. I mean, not in this, not in the region we were in.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So having said that, the first thing I did was I took 2 of the faucets off, and got double faucets. So now we had 2 more handles, and then we had 8 handles instead of 6 handles.
Yeah.
And it went to all craft beer, all the way across.
You took the Miller Lite, Coors Light,
Yeah,
all
that
stuff
came off. Yeah,
Thank you.
came off.
Thank you for that.
And from there on out, we began marketing tap takeovers and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And just working with as many breweries as we possibly could to draw crowds and to fill that little pub.
Okay.
And after a while, it became quite a profitable endeavor, and the company came down and said, "Hey, let's put in more tap handles."
Yeah.
So then we built that in, and all of a sudden we went from 8 tap handles to 31 tap handles.
Wow.
And my moniker, and I always thought we'd get sued because of Baskin-Robbins, was we have 31 flavors.
Nice. Yeah. No, they never contacted you.
No. Well, I didn't wouldn't push it too hard,
Right.
but yeah, I'd tell people in the pub anyway.
Yeah, you've got the Baskin Robbins like hitmen like
Yeah,
like
there you
knocking
go.
on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I'd really love to ask a question about that. Setting the stage for that, we're talking about 10 years ago. In 2012, so many of the craft breweries and the big giants that are current here in Arizona weren't even around.
That's true.
James, what was it like getting, you say, working with the breweries then? I mean, you had far less to work with and deal with.
That's a really good
we
point.
had far less to choose from, but at the same time, there's still a lot of good beer. You know, we were working with people like Jeff Pryor, who worked for Firestone Walker, and Ben over at Sierra Nevada, you know, and people of that nature. And then of course, Ska Brewing was around, you know,
gotcha.
which was always great beer. And
Yeah.
you know, I'll never forget my one go-to nitro handle was Old Rasputin.
Oh, wow, nice.
And I apologize. That's North Coast Brewing. Yes.
North Coast,
There you
okay.
are. So there was beer available. There was a lot of beer out there. It's just that not that many people knew about it or were into it at that point in time.
Gotcha.
Although we kind of formed our own little bubble. We had this little bubble of people, you
Yeah.
know, who would come because the beer was there.
Yeah.
And we did what we called beer class, and we would give a little education on beer itself, how craft beer was growing, and then words, of course, from the sponsor, you know, whoever that person was that week, you know, be it Firestone Walker or be it Ska, you know,
Yeah.
they would always get up and speak and kind of educate everyone just a little bit, at least on their beers, why they were important, why it mattered, why they were in Arizona,
Okay.
why things were growing and why they believed in it, and it became a big deal. And we
Yeah.
did it very inexpensively because we were working on drawing a crowd, building a scene, making something.
Right.
And before you know it, beer class became a regular thing. Every Friday, people came to beer class.
Yeah.
And it just grew from there. I mean, it was a magical thing. It was a wonderful thing to happen.
Yeah, yeah, and that was,
To
a good,
have
that was a
happen.
good question too. Yeah, because when I moved out here in 2007, and I think there was about half of the breweries that they have now, right?
I tell you what, in 2010, I believe there were 30 breweries in
Not
Arizona.
even half.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
And now there are apparently about 100.
This is a list I got here that you guys can't see, but
AZ
this
Beer
is a
Jedi
list
has
of
a-
just
every-
in the Phoenix area.
Oh yeah,
Because I'm working on doing a comprehensive. Anybody that goes to my page will be able to see the breweries in the throughout the state in different locations. But this is just here in the Phoenix area.
that's amazing.
And
yeah.
I'll tell you what, just in the Scottsdale area, it's gotten crazy. You have great craft beer bars, you know, like Sip. They do great coffee and craft beer.
Yeah.
And then you have great breweries. You have Goldwater Brewing here. My God, I don't think those guys can do anything wrong. You have McFate Brewing. I think Steve McFate might be my biggest hero.
Yeah.
Because not only
Yes.
only between he and his guys do they brew really great beer, but he's also the nicest guy in the world.
Yes, that's
I'm
what
not
I've
the
heard.
nicest guy.
Really, you could
Steve,
have.
Steve McFate is the nicest guy in the world.
You've been acting pretty good for the last 5 years that I've known you.
I want to be Steve McFate.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and then look at just getting down into Tempe. Look at Paddle House and Julian and Doc down there. Look what those guys are doing.
Yeah, this is
They
awesome.
send their beers out to all these different contests and things, and my God, they win them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
My point is, we're making really, really great beer.
Right.
And how about Wren House?
Oh, man,
Holy
one of my
moly.
favorites for sure.
And
Yeah.
we've got a couple kegs on from 12 West right now.
Yep.
My God, those guys are killing it.
Yeah.
And this is I'm just focusing on breweries that are in my direct vicinity. On breweries I could walk to carefully
Yeah.
or drive to
Throw a stone at.
after a couple
Right.
of beers. You know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Helton.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Helio Basin. These guys are all within driving. I mean, within 10, actually probably within 5 miles of my pub here, if not close to that.
Right,
And
right.
they're all making, be them in Phoenix or Scottsdale, they're all making wonderful beer.
Yeah, they really are, and unique stuff too. Like
Yes.
doing things that they're having their signatures that are like, this is what we do really good.
So
Right.
we just had a beer festival here in July, Real Wild and Woody, and I'm sure that it happened to another booth, but Wren House was the only booth that I know that long before the festival was over, sold out.
they were out.
They were out.
I remember seeing that. Yeah, I was not there. I was so bummed out. But that's impressive. That's impressive. It's a good problem to have.
No,
right?
it's not. That problem does not suck.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So this place, let's talk about
Okay.
Craft64.
Let's do
I
it.
love this place. I love just everything about it, like the location, the building, like so story behind
Well,
that.
let's start with the building. It's the second oldest home in Old Town Scottsdale. It
Wow.
was built in 1937.
Second oldest in
Second
all
oldest
of
home
Old Town.
in Old
Wow.
Town here. The first is 2 doors down. It's called the House Brasserie. They're a restaurant as well.
Okay.
Fine dining with a French twist, amazing mixology.
Okay.
So I just had to plug them because they're great.
Right.
Anyway, getting back to it, it just seemed like the right fit.
Okay.
It was a standalone building. It had some history here. It wasn't in a strip mall.
Okay,
That sort of thing, which
Yep.
made a big deal to us. That it was important to us to have some, to be in a place that mattered, to be in a place that had some value historically, and
Right.
it just felt like a good fit.
Yeah.
Parking here isn't always easy, but we forgo that one difficult issue because everything else here I think is wonderful.
Yeah. I think that's a problem all across the valley. I
Yeah.
think parking is kind of a known.
Oh my God, downtown
yeah.
Chandler. Every time I go to Santan, I Uber because I can't find a parking
Right,
space.
right. The park and ride, like get on the bus and
Yeah,
like
there
take it
you
there.
are.
Yeah. So, beautiful place too, and I think it's so fitting because it's an old house and just the family atmosphere here. Like when I came in, I was talking to Chris. Chris is he's your manager
Chris
here, right?
is my manager. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
I had to beg him to come join me.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I
really?
had to stalk him.
Stalk him? He told a different story. He said he was a customer first and he loved it.
He was.
Yeah.
But when he was absolutely. He'd come in and hang out with me all the time. But it was when I asked him to start working for me that I had to. I mean, the guy's got things going on. He's a great guy and he had other things to do, and I had to talk him out of those things, and it took a while.
Right. Well, he's here and he's a great
Yes.
advocate for this place for sure. So was it a house like when you started?
It had been a few things before us.
Okay.
It had been a high-end linen store sort of thing, a place interior decorators might call. But
Okay.
it had been abandoned or not used, I should say, for a few years before we got here.
Okay.
And it was in bad nick. It was in bad shape.
Okay.
It took a lot to get it up to code, and we put the money into it.
Yeah.
Because we just felt like it was worth it. Again, it wasn't in a strip mall.
Yeah,
And
right.
it was in a historic district, and it had some history itself, and we just thought, this is the right fit for us.
Right. So Jedi, should I call you Stefan or should I call you Jedi? What do you prefer?
I call him Jedi.
I answer anything. If there's a beer in front of me, it's cool.
Right. All right. Well, Mr. Jedi, so when you first came to this place and you saw there's just this little house, what were your thoughts when you were in the line of one?
So when I came in here, I think that was the first thing that kind of stood out to me, was that it did not feel like a boxed concept. Like you purchased an idea and then it was all prefabricated for you.
Okay.
That's my seat over there.
That one
on
right
the
there?
corner.
Yeah.
There's like
When
a
I come
That's
in,
barstool number 10, by the way.
number 10. All right. Is there a copper plate on the back that says Jedi?
I have such ADD when it comes to craft beer, but this is a place that I come back to and I consider like my home base. Again, this is home for me.
Yeah.
Because it's welcoming, it's personable. I can talk to any of these guys, not just James. I'm on a first name basis with everybody, and when I come in, it's appreciation.
Well, you were customer number one, right?
It's appreciation. I mean, beyond that, that it's the frequency, the familiarity, and it's
Okay.
the appreciation both ways. Because I've definitely been to some great places that had really good things to offer. Call me a geek, call me sensitive. I enjoy being able to have a conversation with somebody and then be excited about it in the exact same way that I am, and I get that tenfold here.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that keeps me back, other than wanting to support James and, of course, the great beer. So
Right.
So our beer is a local focus here, of course, and that's
Okay.
an important part of what we do.
Right.
We have 36 on tap all the time, and they're always local beers. Always. We don't deviate. It's local beer. We brew our own over at Sunup.
Okay.
Right down the street here at 3rd and Camelback, which has turned out to be just a wonderful thing for them and for us.
Yeah.
They built this beautiful 15-barrel system next door to the pub, and they're over there doing what they do on a regular basis. And so the 7-barrel wasn't doing too much at the time, especially as these guys were focusing on production with White Russian, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, I've known Uva for years and years and years, and I put a plan together. I mean, and I got with before I even presented it to them, them, I got with their distributor, Crescent Crown,
Okay.
and Harold Sleeman over at Crescent and Amy over at Crescent, and got with them and said, hey, I have a plan, and I had the whole plan together, and I strategically put the whole thing together so that it would work, and so that everyone was comfortable before really approaching even sunup to say, okay, I've got this whole thing together. Here it is. Here are the agreements. Here's how it's going to work. Here's how I promise it's going to go. Here are the people I've spoken to. And apparently quite a few people had spoken to Sunup they had the same idea I did.
Okay.
And Sunup had turned them all down. But the fact that I'd approached Uwe and John, their owner, with a really precise plan for exactly how this was going to work, convinced them that this was worth taking a chance on.
Okay, gotcha.
From recipes to distribution to sales to marketing, I had it all together first.
Yeah, that's a big part too.
Yeah.
You're not just saying, hey, I want to do this. Now I need you to help me do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I did all. I tried to do as much of the groundwork as I could.
Yeah.
And that was what I think enticed them to join us to do this.
Okay.
The recipes are mine that we brew.
Okay.
For the most part, other than our winter recipe last year, the Wicked Winter, which was a homage to the old Pete's Wicked Winter Ale.
Oh, I remember the Pete's. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just felt like that was one of those very first craft beers I ever tasted. So for our winter brew last year, I wanted to do a homage to that, and we did. But that brew was more along the lines of what Uwe likes to do. I thought, wait a minute, this guy is the master at big multi-winter brews. He's forgotten more about brewing than I know. Of course, I want his input.
Yeah,
and he helped me build that recipe.
Nice.
But everything else we've done so far is mine.
Gotcha. Okay, there is an exception though, right? Of brewing at sunup, right? Dabina. You work with Dabina as well?
We do. We work at Dabina with the sour.
The sour, the mango pucker.
And it's because as many times as I tried to bend Uwe's arm, he's just not willing to do sours, to let any wild bacteria into his brew house, which is understandable.
Yeah.
And so after about a year of bending his arm and thinking I'd convince him, it was still no.
Yeah.
And as luck would have it, a few months before, we'd had a blood orange sour from Dabina on here. And I think it was blood orange. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was a blood orange sour. And it was so good, and the keg sold so well that I went back to the distributor, who actually was Crescent Crown as well, luckily.
Yeah, nice.
And said, is there any left? Did someone not take their allocation? And as it turned out, someone had not taken their allocation, so I took a second keg, which blew out like you wouldn't believe because it was so good.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay, these are the people I would like to partner with to do a sour. So I hit Jared up and said, hey, would you like to do this together?
Yeah.
And he was all in. He was like, why not? I mean, we do good sours. You want a good sour. We can do this together. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he contacted Uwe to find out how our program with Sunup was working.
Okay.
And it was working pretty well. And he was all in, and it's been a success story as well. Last year we sold about 100 barrels of our own beer, 200 kegs, and that was in 9 months with about 3 to 4 handles.
Okay.
These days we have 7 to 8 handles of our own beer on a regular basis. We're busier than we were last year, and I had the whole 12 months.
Wow.
So my focus is a good 150 to 155 barrels of beer this year.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, we'll see if we get there.
Right. Nice. Well, you guys are on track for that.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Actually, we are. I do the numbers, and we are.
Nice. So what do we got here? So I'm just drinking the mango pucker right now. When I came in, so we connected. Stefan connected us, and we agreed. Hey, let's get together. Let's do this podcast. So my wife and I, on a date night, we decided to come down and
You were sat up front over here.
We did. Yes.
You did?
Yes, we did. And I was like, oh man, he's so busy. You were working your ass off, just running back and forth.
That was a busy night for us.
It was super busy. Yeah. But you took a little time, came over to talk to us, and kind of told you what I liked. But you were like, you got to try the mango pucker. And I was like, okay, because I'm going this way with, I'm pointing up. I'm going up with the sours because at first I was like,
myself as well. My wife loves sours. She's the one getting me into sours.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Well, you're helping me.
You got me into sours.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah, Stefan, before we started recording, was saying that him and I are similar in the sense that we're kind of behind a little bit on the styles. It takes us a little bit more to get on, but the mango pucker helps. So. Thank you. And thank you, Jared Davina, for that too. Jared's an awesome guy. He's
yeah, they're great. And that beer kind of the deliciousness it is mango pucker actually kind of happened a little by accident, and I'm a little nervous that I will be able to repeat the process.
Oh, really?
So we got there and we mashed in and we ran through everything, and then Morris, who is their current head brewer, and he's a great guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Morris, he dropped the yogurt into the into the bin, and and got the pH down pretty low. But after dropping the mango in, nothing was happening. And it just wasn't terribly sour, and it was a little sweet because of all that fresh mango puree that went in.
Okay.
So literally we repitched all over again. It just took off. It just did, and it dried the beer out to an extent that I've never tasted in an Arizona sour, which I absolutely love in hindsight.
Yeah.
And left the beer sour, dry, clean, yet still with a hint of mango.
Yeah.
Because every bit of sugar is gone. Mm-hmm. There's nothing left. There's no residual sugar. The yeast ate everything.
Yeah.
When we first tasted it, I just thought, my God, home run.
Yeah.
Although it took some time to get there, home run.
Yeah.
Now my biggest problem or my biggest fear is, can I do this again?
Right.
Can I recreate this again? But Morris is amazing and guided me through the process of sours, because I'd never honestly brewed a sour in a professional manner ever.
Okay.
And of course, Davina, beyond their beautiful IPAs, are becoming really known for their sours, and so they were there and really helped me with this one, and we pushed through, and the beer came out beautifully, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm really proud that I was allowed to do it at Davina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I love that beer, and I mean every single one of them is good. You when we were talking, there was one that's kind of a session, but I remember you telling me that you're not a big fan of the term session, right?
Okay, Frolic, our pale ale.
The Frolic Pale Ale. Okay.
It's 60 IBUs. It's about 4.8% alcohol by volume, and I call it a pale ale.
Okay.
I'm honestly not terribly fond of the verbiage session IPA.
Okay.
I don't know. It just does. It never felt right to me.
Okay.
I felt like a marketing gimmick more than it did a stylistic guideline, especially when pale ale was already there.
Yeah.
And then of course there was that term extra pale, which I guess was okay. I mean, maybe that's where Frolic belongs.
Okay.
But unfiltered, 60 IBUs. We're using El Dorado hops, which give you this stone fruit melony sort of bitterness.
Yeah.
And then we're dry hopping. This go around we dry hop with Citra.
Okay.
Next go around we're dry hopping with Mosaic, because honestly I can't get my hands on any Citra.
Oh, really? Is that hard to get?
Yeah, it's hard to get. It's so difficult to get.
Okay, gotcha. So, and what else? We got cucumber. You got the big,
Mr. Big is
yeah.
our summer seasonal.
Okay.
It's a cucumber wheat ale, and as a backbone for the cucumber, we're using a little bit of lemon and pear.
Interesting.
And cucumber is fun, but it's thin. It needs a backbone.
Right.
Hence the lemon and the pear is a backbone for the cucumber.
Okay.
And I wanted a citrus twist to this beer, especially being that it's a summer beer.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like it worked out perfect.
Yeah, that's really good. And you serve it with a cucumber.
We do. We serve it with a cucumber garnish.
Slice of cucumber,
Number 3 in Phoenix Magazine's top 10 summer beers for Arizona this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. What else? What else we got here? I mean, we got a huge tap list. I love it, and every single thing is local.
It's local Arizona.
But you got the Hop Life. The Hop Life, is that a newer one?
Hop Life is our newest IPA, although not brand new these days. Our newest IPA. It's an East Coast style, although not a Vermont style.
Okay.
I know people are going to get mad at me, but I don't like the juice box style. I don't want to drink a beer and feel like I'm sipping on a Capri Sun.
Right.
I'm not taking the piss on anyone else who's having success with that style. God bless you.
Right.
But I wanted to brew mine a little bit differently.
Okay. Yeah.
So I began actually with the malt bill from my smooth operator, pulled out the Munich, replaced it with Vienna. And then used Falconer's Flight, which is a West Coast hybrid, and Mosaic, which of course you find a lot of Mosaic in a lot of those East Coast styles.
Gotcha.
And then I also up the IBUs and the alcohol by volume. We're with Hop Life, we're at about 75 IBUs, and about 7.5% alcohol by volume, which is a little more on each part than those standard East Coast styles. I just wanted mine to be a little bit different, because it just seems to me that everyone is brewing that same beer when it comes to that East Coast style. And I just wanted mine to be a little different, and maybe encourage other people to brew theirs just a little bit differently as well. The juice box thing is fun, but I just wanted mine to be a little different than that.
Yeah. Well, good for you for doing that too.
I want to piggyback on something and that's I think a very important component about what James does here. I've had conversations with him because in this craft beer world, we're always chasing, us hardcore geeks. We're chasing these. There's only 20 bottles of this.
Yeah.
This came from the unicorn dust of a dragon that was 2,000 years old in a barrel for this long.
Yeah.
And we're all stalking Facebook.
I call that barrel-aged monkey blood. That's unattainable bottle.
And I've asked James, like, what do you think about this, or when are you gonna do that? He's like, the best concept, I think, is that it's returning craft beer truly to its roots.
Okay.
That it should be enjoyable. It should not be off-putting. So many people who maybe don't like IPAs, they can come in here and his beer is drinkable.
Yeah.
It's full of flavor, and it's not polarizing in any way, and it's the perfect beer for pairing with the food that's here. And ultimately, for the sake of this concept of craft beer ambassadorship, this is what's starting people. They try it here, and then they're going to want to go and say, "Oh, I like this IPA at Craft64. Let me try this." It's the ultimate gateway to get people into it.
Right. That's a really good point. Yeah.
And it is because our beers are really brewed with a different mindset than many other breweries are. At least I think so. I'm imagining so. Our beers are brewed with the idea that they need to pair well with the food that we make. Everything we do when it comes to the cuisine is also, just like the beer, sourced locally, and like our beer, made from scratch our way.
Yeah.
We make our own mozzarella in our own kitchen. There does not exist a freezer or a fryer in this building.
Really? Interesting.
There's no microwave in this building.
Yeah.
It's all good, fresh, locally sourced food to go with our good, fresh, locally sourced beer, and of course our own beers.
Yeah. It's a deliberate connection.
It's a deliberate connection and a deliberate need to pair and make sure they work well together.
Yeah. Gotcha. And they do. And that was a good segue.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
For my smooth operator, which is our West Coast style, you'll find it has a little bit of balance.
Yeah.
It's not just hops.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying we don't have a crowd that love their hops, because they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, because I love mine.
Right.
Right. But we brew with just a slightly, I think, different idea. And a lot of this, from and I want to get back to Anthony in Santana when I worked there for a minute, if you don't mind.
Sure,
because
absolutely.
a lot of my lessons kind of came from Anthony Koneckia and Santana Brewing Company.
Okay.
Anthony was always focused on brewing quality beer first.
Yeah.
As opposed to just brewing a hop monster or just brewing something that might just excite a few people. He was really into making sure that his beer worked well for his pub, for his crowd, for the food he made, and for the way he liked to brew as well.
Okay.
And a lot of my lessons, or a lot of my thought process when it comes to the way we brew our beers and what they're for, come from the lessons I learned from Anthony.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and putting your own personality into it, and your own
Right.
well, I know this is kind of what's hot or whatever the trend right now, but I'm gonna do how I want to create this beer and still make awesome beer.
No, absolutely. And and when it comes to hop life, we've taken it. We want to make sure people know it's not a Vermont style. We'll call it an East Coast style.
Okay.
But it's not a juice box as a lot of people like to
mimosa.
refer to
Some of them
these beers.
taste like mimosas. And I love a mimosa, time and place, right? But
now my personal belief is there's a time and place for absolutely every beer.
Yeah.
I like to refer to myself is what you might refer to as a recovering beer snob.
Okay, interesting. You were talking about that before,
when
yes.
People are deemed or consider themselves alcoholic, they're always, according to the government anyway, in recovery.
Right.
All right. So I am a recovering beer snob.
Okay.
Believe me, there were days back in the day, in the early Whole Foods days, where I was a little crummy about those things too.
Okay,
and I shouldn't have been, honestly. I've learned my lesson. Having said that, I would rather refer to myself as a beer enthusiast. And there is a time and a place for every beer. I don't care what it is and where it comes from. There is a time and a place for every single beer in the world. Now, having said that, I do want my East Coast beer to be a little different than what I feel like everyone's brewing.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
That's really the spirit, though, of the craft beer revolution itself, is because if everyone did the same thing, how interesting would it be? So, I mean, it takes basically the... I don't know if I can say it.
You can say balls.
Let's say
you
the
can
balls.
Say balls.
The balls to do it, And James is not afraid to challenge somebody who, again, the snob. Well, I only drink this IPA that's, there's only 20 of these and this bourbon barrel, this and that. He's like, no, I don't care.
Yeah. Right.
Try this beer.
Yeah, and that's what it should be. I mean, that is what it should be. Yeah.
And it doesn't always work out.
Yeah. Hey, you know what though? You can't be afraid to try, right?
Right, you can't.
Yeah. So you had mentioned the pairing of the food, which is a key too, because my wife, she's not a huge beer person, but it's always a matter of, hey, let's go here to have some beers, and then we'll go here, meet in the middle, right? We compromise.
Right.
But when we were coming here, I'm like, no, I'm telling you, the food is going to be phenomenal too, just from what everybody's told me. And she was blown away. And you guys have wine. That's a big key too, because you go to a lot of places that it's just beer, like you were saying before.
We have 4 somms on staff.
What's what? For what?
Sommelier. We have 4
wow.
sommeliers on
Okay.
staff. 2 level 1 or beginner sommeliers, if you will. I don't know if I'm putting that correctly. Probably not. Two level 1 somms, and then 2 advanced somms.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And I hired with that in mind when we hired, and it's important because we do have a big wine program as well. I want people to come in, and if you're into beer and she's into wine, or she's into IPAs and you want a good stiff Cabernet, I can accommodate you both, and I have people who can tell you about both. Now, having said that, every one of my servers, if you look at the wall over here and all the little diploma-ish things, every one of my servers is a Cicerone certified beer server.
I saw that. Yeah.
And they have to be. I require that within the first 30 days of their employment here. And of course, I pay for it.
Right.
But I require it because I want people to know when they're speaking to a server that if they have a beer question, it can be answered.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. I've never seen that before. Because as you were saying that, I was looking, and there are, I think, like 8 of them on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I have 8 servers.
Yeah. Yes. So that was a key. So for my wife, she's like, oh, they have wine too, and local too, right? That's a local focus.
We have local wine.
Okay. Yeah. So you have some local wines. Yeah.
We have some local wine.
Yeah.
We have a lot of local spirits.
Okay.
From the guys over at Arizona Distilling,
okay,
to the guys at Cask Works, to the guys at Oso.
Yes, I saw those.
And all of our signature cocktails are all made with local spirits all of the time as well.
Okay, gotcha.
I have one signature mule that's made with Tullamore Dew because it happens to be my favorite Irish whiskey.
Okay, yeah.
But other than that, every single signature cocktail we have is made with a local spirit.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, and that was another thing too. You guys have signature cocktails, like it's a cocktail program, like not just like, hey, let's mix this and this. It's, once again, as with everything, there's a lot of care that goes into that, a lot of deliberate effort to make phenomenal
Now
drinks.
I can't make any claims yet, but I've heard a small rumor that we're going to get an award here shortly for the best cocktail program in a bar that is not a cocktail bar.
Oh, really? Wow. Is that all on the plaque?
Yeah,
That's all?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes and where it comes up.
Right. That's awesome. So food, though. Food is a big part of
it. It's a huge part of it, of what we do, because everything we built around the kitchen. The oven burns nothing but wood, pecan wood, for the purposes of cooking. No gas, no cheating.
Yeah.
Again, no freezer in this building, no microwave in this building, no fryer in this building. If we can't make it from scratch and put it in that oven and cook it, we simply don't do it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And it shows. The stuff was great. Like the house-made mozzarella cheese.
House made every morning.
Yeah. And there's a few things you guys make like in-house, right?
Oh, the dressings are made here from scratch. The sauces are made here from scratch. The dough is made here from scratch.
Yeah.
The mozzarella cheese is made here from scratch.
Yeah. And there's
that cheese is ruined me.
The cheese as well.
I'm a huge fan. I come in here for a beer and a caprese salad often, and I tried going to a market recently to buy some mozzarella cheese, and it was not the same.
Right.
I have to have the cheese from here.
Yeah. Thanks, James. Jeez, yeah.
I've spoiled you.
He doesn't mind it.
No.
He sees me come in.
Yeah.
But like I said, he was customer number 1. I should be spoiling him.
Absolutely, yeah. The red carpet was rolled out,
Yep.
so I saw Stefan in the parking
For
lot.
clarity's sake, the honor is mine.
Right.
It is.
Yes. So you got an oven back there too, the pizza oven.
Mm-hmm.
Which is huge. I
Came
love
from
pizza.
Italy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
I would love to say we built that ourselves, but unfortunately, we're not that clever.
Okay.
Maybe next go round.
But the pizzas are phenomenal too. Yeah. Everything is just. You guys are doing things right here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. This is great. You have events too, or happy hour? Like happy hour is pretty big too.
Happy hour we do every day of the week, even the weekends, 4 to 7, and we run it late. Instead of going 2 to 4 or 3 to 6, we go 4 to 7.
Okay.
That way people have time and they don't feel rushed to get here for happy hour.
Yeah. And what kind of specials you have? Like what's
all the beers are always $1 off.
Okay.
The pitchers are $1 off even. We have tons of food, and again, not crummy happy hour fried food that bready happy hour food.
Yeah.
Real food,
Right.
our food, just a little less expensive for happy hour.
Yeah.
The wines, we have a great deal on wines. We have a great deal on cocktails and things of that nature. We round it out pretty well.
Okay.
And our happy hours become pretty popular. We've been recognized by USA Today as one of the best happy hours in Scottsdale.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
It is.
Yeah.
For our first year open, John Taffer and his Restaurants and Bar Association, or Bar and Club Association,
Okay.
along with Yelp, gave us Best New Arizona Restaurant,
Oh, nice.
which was nice. Yeah, that was kinda
Arizona
cool.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've been recognized by a few different local writers here for our pizza.
Okay.
Dominic Armato over at the Republic, Jess Harder over at Mouth by Southwest for doing good pizza.
Yeah.
And knock on wood.
Yeah. Keep it rolling then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you guys for joining, both of you guys. This has been
Thank
great.
you.
Is there anything you guys want to add before
Thank
we
you,
wrap things
Arizona
up?
Beer Jedi, for being here with me, brother.
Thank you for
And might
having me.
I add, you guys can't see him, but Stefan is looking rather sharp in his three-piece suit.
He
and I
is.
feel a little underdressed for this interview.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm very excited to change because, like I said, I've had no sleep. So
Yeah, he's running on fumes. He's it's been
I'm
a long
running on
night.
beer.
All right, yeah, me too. And hopefully soon some of this food, because I'm ready to eat some of this food for sure. But guys,
Guys, thank you so much for being here with me
Yeah.
and visiting Craft64 and doing this here because, I love beer.
yeah, absolutely.
I want to add something, and
Yes.
then you close out whatever the case is. But anybody that's never been here and they're looking for an excuse to come here, if you are a beer fan, I have had beer here first from breweries that I've wanted to try. It's the only place in the state that you're going to get most of the stuff that you can try here. So if you're not coming in for the food, which you should, if you're not coming in for James's house beer, which you should, the other beer from Arizona is what you're going to want to come and check out, because some of this stuff you can't get anywhere else.
Well, that's a really good point. I'm looking at some of these tap handles, and what's the Desert Dragon? That's a cider, right?
That's
a
a
local
cider.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
This is the first time I've actually been able to put a cider on. Because for the most part, there were no ciders in Arizona up until this year. And Stefan here has actually been a huge advocate of the ciders.
Yeah.
That was part of
Yes.
our conversation on day one. Are there any Arizona ciders? He's like, I can't get it.
And what I would always tell people, they come in and they ask for a cider, and I'd say, well, I'm really sorry, but apples don't grow in the desert.
Right. Right. That's a good point. Yes,
So
but now people are making.
There's some interesting. Again, thanks to the craft beer scene here and where it's grown and the contribution that James has had, cider is now also finding its home here in Arizona.
Yeah. Nice, man. Your resume is, 16 pages pretty much of. You are the godfather of Arizona beer.
Oh, no.
in my eyes.
Let me get back to that.
All right.
Because Stefan here called me the grandfather of craft beer in Arizona.
I like to call him the king.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
But that's just simply not true. You talk about people like Clove, who owns Papago Brewing. You talk about Uva, who's been brewing at Sunup for years. You talk about Anthony Kanecchia, who worked at Four Peaks for years before opening Santan. You talk about Jim and Andy over at Four Peaks, because without them, this whole Arizona scene wouldn't exist. Talk about people of that nature.
Yeah.
Some of these guys who have been brewing forever, like the guys at Prescott Brewing or the guys at Oak Creek Brewing, they were the godfathers of this. They were doing this long before it was cool.
Yeah.
We did Whole Foods before it was cool, but they did it long before that.
Right. Well, you're a big piece of it. Yeah, we'll say that. And I
thank
think
you,
you'll
sir.
accept that. You'll accept that one, right?
I will accept your kind words.
All right. Awesome. Well, keep doing what you're doing. And I was going to say
And
a
I
couple
hope
things.
everybody else does as well.
Right. Like Blackbridge. I don't think I've ever seen a tap for Blackbridge.
They're out in, I apologize, where are they?
Yeah, I know. Not Bisbee, but
Kingman, Arizona. I apologize. They're in
Yeah.
Kingman. And what I've got from them is a wheat wine.
Yeah.
It is 14% alcohol by volume.
Wow.
It's a beast. It's beautiful. I like to call it sweet heat. It's
Sweet
just
heat.
a tiny bit sweet. It's got the heat from the alcohol.
Okay.
And we serve it in a wine glass, actually, at 6 ounces at a time.
And I can admit,
because it is a wheat wine, and at 14%, I can't serve any more than 6 ounces at a time.
Right.
And it's fun to have on tap.
I can admit that I am one of those fans that I'm an ABV chaser.
Okay.
If it's a big number, I don't care what it is. I got to try it.
I'm going to go for it. And it's called Wicked Poison, too.
Wicked
Of
Poison,
all
yes,
the
it
names.
is.
Yeah. But no, guys, this has been great. 6922, you said East Main Street?
East Main Street.
Old Town Scottsdale, Craft64, the number 64.
64.com. 64 ounces in a growler.
That's all right. I was going to ask
where
you.
it came from.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. So craft64.com. Instagram that I see is the big one is King James Swan.
At King James Swan. And it was because, honestly, the Craft64 moniker had already been taken. Craft64 had been taken. Craft64 Scottsdale had been taken. And it was like, well, shoot.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, it was.
You can say that. You can say whatever you want.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'll say so. I always like to try to do my official recommendations for this, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to steal yours because I'll have you guys do it too. Anything with the homemade mozzarella. That's usually it's something specific, but in this case, anything that involves that. And then, believe it or not, my listeners know I'm not a huge fan or haven't been a huge fan of sours. Mango pucker, that's my pick. You were converting me like one sip at a time.
Hey,
so
all right, I'll take that.
yeah, Stefan, what would you say? What would you say? Your two recommendations, food and drink.
Okay. I come in here. He sold me on the Fico. There's two pizzas here. One is sweet, one is spicy. The Aji and the Fico. But if you get the Fico, you're doing it with prosciutto, and there's no other way to do it. Okay. Beer-wise,
sweet and salty,
beer-wise,
umami, if you will.
Right now, I have been all about the pucker.
The pucker.
That
nice.
pucker was just perfect. It came out in June. It was hot. Of course, we all know about the triple digits here.
Right.
And it was just it was the perfect thing to drink on a hot day. So I've had several.
Nice. All right. So that's two of us on the pucker. So
There you go.
I know you probably don't like tooting your own horn, but
For me, it's Frolic.
Okay.
The pale ale. The older I get, the less alcohol I want in my beer.
okay.
I want the hops. I want the flavor. I just don't want to feel like not a person the next day because I have to be at work and I have to be. I have no choice. Here I am.
Right.
This is where I be. So having said that, that's definitely number one. And honestly, number two for me is our blonde ale.
Okay.
Crafty blonde. It's one of the recipes I'm most proud of because I just feel like if you can't get that beer right, everyone will know. There's no way to hide anything in that beer.
Interesting.
It is going to be what it is going to be, and regardless of the flavor characteristics, there's no hiding anything. It's right or it isn't. And so
gotcha.
honestly, Frolic and Crafty Blonde are the two I'm most proud of.
Okay.
Just me personally.
Right.
Now, lately when it comes to sales, it's been Hop Life, Smooth Operator, and that Mango Pucker.
Okay.
When it comes to the beer scene,
Right.
and then the everyday people, it's the Crafty Blondes.
Okay.
Crafty Blonde is definitely probably your most accessible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Big craft beer fanatics are going to love it, and anybody that's not into craft beer is going to think this is way better than anything else I've had.
Is it blonde you said?
Crafty Blonde.
Okay,
That's what I'm
gotcha.
drinking right now.
Now, if you don't mind, I would just like to do a couple quick shout-outs to people who've been a
absolutely.
big influence to me in getting this started and making it work and in having success here. Doc, Derek Osborne, who was at BJ's forever and now owns part of Pedal House with Julian Wright.
Okay.
Those guys are huge influences for me. Oddly enough, coming from BJ's again, Jeff Huss, who is Huss Brewing along with Leah.
Yeah.
Huge influences to me.
Yeah.
Anthony Kaneki at Santan, who was good enough to give me a job and let me experience everything we're doing right now, because that's where it all began for me, really.
Yeah.
Santan Brewing Company was huge.
Yeah. Nice.
Chip Malola, who worked at Santan for a long time, and now he's at Huss, oddly enough. It's like the Kevin Bacon connection here, isn't it? Chip was a big influence for me and helped for me at Santan, and then moved on to Huss, and is just I think they call him the Minister of Beer.
Oh, the Minister.
The
Okay.
Minister of Beer.
Gotcha.
I would agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Uva and John over at Sunup. I mean, without them, we wouldn't be doing the beer we're doing.
Yeah.
And they're helping me make it possible. Ross over at Sunup, who is now the new head brewer.
Okay.
Big red bearded Ross.
Yeah, I've seen that guy. Yeah.
Amazing guy,
Uh-huh.
and a fantastic brewer. The guy's been to hop school and yeast school. Really understands his thing.
The details, like
Yeah,
those,
it's the details. Oh, absolutely, it is. And that's just a few, and trust me, there are quite a few more.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's that beer community, and that's what I love about doing what I do. Is it was craft beverages, right? I did coffee, wine, and which is all great, but I just fell in love with this Arizona craft beer community, and just like everybody is all about everybody else, and it's so collaborative, and so So yeah, awesome guys.
There you are, sir. And I thank you for being here with me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I mean, I'm enjoying every second of this, and I'm gonna get that pizza that you told me.
Pizza's awesome.
Yeah, that's I'm following your recommendation. So, guys,
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna have a piece.
all right. So, all right, cool.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks for listening to another episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this. James is an awesome dude. That place is legit. That pizza they make out of that oven is, I'm a huge fan of pizza, and there's no exception there. So it's good stuff. All great beers on tap. There are things there that I've never seen on tap anywhere else besides the actual brewery itself. And it's kind of cool because there's some places that aren't close to us, aren't accessible, that are part of the Arizona beer community, and they have things on tap from them. So go check those guys out in Old Town, Craft64. Also check out Stefan Canchola's AZ Beer Jedi Facebook page. You can follow all of his action on there. And yeah, if you guys enjoy the show, once again, share it with a friend. Rating and review always helps too. Let's spread the word on Arizona beer. That's what our goal is here. So in the meantime, always remember, stay awesome.